Chances are, right now, you're watching me on a screen that was assembled in China, that runs on components made in countries that go from Asia to North America, and that came to be thanks to decades of inventions that took place all around the world. In fact, if you look closely at the production of any high-tech good, it quickly becomes evident that it owes its existence to the flow of technological goods and ideas across borders. Recently, however, this 21st century union has been on the rocks. Some countries have been pursuing policies to restrict the sale of high-tech goods and favor self-reliance over collaboration, a deliberate splintering of the way in which high-tech goods and services are produced. It is something that we economists refer to as decoupling. I am Diego Cerdeiro of the IMF's Asia Pacific Department, and I am here to explain why, when it comes to high-tech, breaking up is hard to do. Over the past few years, we have all become familiar with the contours of the US-China trade dispute. But what started with steel and Harley-Davidsons has recently shifted to also encompass the high-tech sector. Things like 5G telecommunications and the chips that make our phones work and our cars go. We know that this sector is a major driver of innovation and growth, and that high-tech production is uniquely international. But what relatively fewer people were talking about was exactly how costly these policies could be. What would the price tag be for decoupling? My colleagues and I saw a gap and decided to research it. Now, while the US-China dispute tends to dominate the headlines, it is not the only trade relationship that has shown or could show technological tensions. So we modeled different scenarios. We looked at the possible implications of a bipolar high-tech world centered around China and the United States, but also at how things would look with even further fragmentation in a tripolar high-tech world, with Germany as an example of a possible third hub. Technological decoupling has many aspects to it, and piecing together its different dimensions required 5 co-authors from multiple IMF departments working with different modeling techniques. And this is what we found. Just 5 years out, a decline in the level of GDP of between 2 and 5%, with permanent long-term losses even larger than that. Let me put this into some kind of context. These losses are larger than the economic losses due to the pandemic, every year, forever. With technological decoupling, almost everyone loses. China, the United States, the European Union. Where do these large losses come from? There is a direct effect through trade as countries lose access to markets, with firms being forced to fire workers and scale back investment. This is the American chip manufacturer or the Chinese company that assembled your screen, losing their ability to sell. Countries also lose because they need to turn to less efficient producers of the different components, so that putting together a product becomes effectively more expensive. Finally, we all lose because the flow of ideas across borders is interrupted, stifling the innovation processes that ultimately underpinned the creation of these goods. Now, some people might say, we know all this. And anyway, I am missing the point. It is said that technological decoupling is more about national security than it is about economic desirability. And that is true. But we thought it important to inform the debate with hard data, to show that geopolitical confrontations have an inescapable economic dimension. And the thing about decoupling is that as you go through the process, as you decouple, chances are you will start doing your own thing. And while that doesn't make recoupling impossible, it does make it expensive. So technological decoupling can be a slippery slope with the potential to affect our standards of living. It is an obstacle to trade, the very thing that makes us dependent across continents and oceans. Technological decoupling is a divorce with a potentially very high price tag indeed.